She's April.
And she's Molly. And
we're the Book
Besties.
Besties.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Words are hard. And
says the writer.
I can put them on paper. It's getting them out the mouth. It's hard.
Everybody gonna know. I'm calling the radio station and do people even do that anymore? I'm calling the radio station and put it on there. I don't know. I'm gonna podcast about it. It's going on YouTube. Everybody's gonna know. Everybody's gonna know.
Circle back.
We're gonna circle back. Okay, but you don't blame not wanting. You don't cancel plans and blame your husband, because I do that all the time.
I mean, I do, but okay. Episode 2. Woo.
Episode 2.
Okay, so we had a long talk about what we were going to do for this.
Yeah.
We had a couple conversations. We talked about the book that we first started talking about, which was Twilight was what we bonded over. So no judgment. We already talked about this. We don't book shame here.
No.
Then we talked about doing maybe my favorite book or her favorite book first.
Yeah.
And then it came to us. Our first book fight.
Our very first one.
We haven't had one like this book.
Yeah.
Let's not say this. We have not had a fight. Like, we have fought over this book, which we still argue about.
Yeah.
BT Dub. And the only reason she read this is so we could go see the movie together.
Yeah, there was actually a group of us. So if you listen to our intro episode, you know that we...
not friend.
Right. And we had a group of friends that were all... Well, everyone was active duty except for me. And then I guess your husband,
a few spouses,
Matthew. Yeah. But it was mostly, active duty. And we all were going to go see the movie together. And so we read the book.
And I insisted everybody read the book.
Which, of course, you have to. You have to.
So what is this book we talk about? If you listen to the beginning, it is Emily Giffin's first novel into writing, Something Borrowed.
I didn't realize this was her first one. This
is her first novel.
I love that.
Also, she was a lawyer beforehand. I thought that was really interesting.
I feel like, okay, we'll come back to that, but I feel like maybe that's why I offer books like this.
We'll circle back. So let's talk about this book real quick. If you don't know what Something Borrowed is, this book is about two best friends who grew up together.
Yeah.
And they eventually make their way to New York City.
Mm-hmm.
And on the night of her 30th birthday party, Rachel sleeps with her best friend's fiance.
Yes.
And things unfold from there.
Yes.
And okay, let me just say this real.
And the book takes place like in the mid 90s.
90s, yeah, the mid 90s, early 2000s. We'll say, they had cell phones, so I'm gonna say.
Well, they did, but like they were rich lawyer type people. In New York City.
So okay, we're gonna say this right now. Spoilers. Stop here if you want to read this book and you haven't read this book. Stop. Yeah. Don't listen to this because we're gonna talk about everything.
But do come back and listen to this.
Please, please, for the love of God, come back. But you're gonna want to hear this because this is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
So, let's start at the beginning. Let's start with our first plot point that we argued about was Rachel, right?
Yeah. So Rachel's the main character,
right? She's a lawyer.
She's a lawyer. The book is written
mousy.
The book is written from her point of view. So when I read the book, I was engaged. So that's kind of important to, I think, how I felt about the book.
Yeah, and you're looking to it. And I first read the book when I was single. The first time I read this book, I was 22. I was single. This is pre-Coast Guard. This is pre-marriage.
Yeah.
And I felt like I understood Rachel. I understood feeling... Okay, the whole cheaty thing. Okay, just give me a second. I understood Rachel as a person. I understood feeling like I had a friend. I always was the friend. I may be loud and chatty, but I was always the friend that other friends pushed down. I was always the friend back in the day that was silenced, caved to others, gave in. And I know some of you are laughing back there who know me. Shh, this is true.
Yeah.
But I related to Rachel in that sense.
But I feel like Rachel's biggest problem was not that if you haven't read the book, Darcy and Rachel.
Duh, spoilers, we just said this.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Their relationship is such a dichotomy. So Darcy is like the popular girl and Rachel isn't. And anytime that you have a book that's trying to make these two people friends, especially when they enter adulthood still as friends, I find that to be incredibly frustrating because I don't believe them as friends. I don't believe them as friends. And that is my biggest issue with like Rachel's whole thing. She loves Darcy. She's her best friend. You do not love her.
They're frenemies. No, you do not. The term is frenemies. Okay, it just wasn't coined yet.
I can get on board with frenemies, but that is not what she said about her.
No, and that's not how they're selling it. No.
No, they are best friends. And no one would do that to their best friend. And I'm somebody that has my other best friend, aside from Molly and my book bestie, my other best friend has been my best friend since high school. And so when I look at Rachel and Darcy's relationship, like they've been friends since they were little kids, and Darcy first moved next door. And what my friend and I have been able to do is grow up.
So here's where my argument comes in.
Yeah.
Here's where my argument comes in. As April's saying, her and her friend grew up. They changed and grew together. In this instance, Rachel changed. Rachel grew. And Darcy didn't. Darcy was always the same person. And Rachel has, and this is my defense, Rachel has a sense of loyalty to Darcy. She loves Darcy so much that she is willing to forego all these changes in her life and ignore who she's becoming to stay loyal to Darcy.
But she doesn't love her enough not to sleep with her fiance.
Okay.
How can you make that argument? How can you
I'm saying and then this leads to my next thing. It is not just spoilers. Again, your last warning. She is not the only bad person in this whole thing.
Oh, I mean, I agree with you.
She's not.
I agree with you.
Everyone, I'm going to say this once and I'm going to say this again. Everyone is flawed in this book.
Yeah, the only
Darcy sleeps with a boy, or a man that she's trying to hook Rachel up with. Yeah. Marcus. She's
who is actually her fiance's best friend.
So if anybody's the bad guy here, it is Darcy. She betrayed not only her best friend, but her husband.
I'm sorry, but two wrongs do not make a right.
I'm not saying it does. Not what I'm saying it does.
The only character in here that's redeemable is Ethan, who lives in London.
Ethan's in England. He doesn't count.
And if you've seen the movie...
my God. We're going to get to that. We're going to jump into the movie.
They change his plot line. So
we're going to we're going to get into that at the end.
We've got to get into that too. Yeah.
Okay, so Rachel, Darcy, this whole... Everyone is... The whole point of writing this crazy love bullshit triangle thing is to prove that everyone is flawed. And I can see your face. Let me finish. We are not always who we're supposed to be at the beginning. And I know there is a lot about fidelity and friendship and love here, but sometimes people grow and change. And sometimes it takes infidelity to do that. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's how it happens sometimes.
Listen.
I'm saying people are flawed.
Listen. Dex, who is Darcy's fiance, if his feelings were even remotely changing, if he still had feelings for Rachel, because as we know in the plotline of this book, he always had feelings for Rachel, and he didn't think she reciprocated.
Right.
He owed it to Darcy to break things off. And
I agree.
Instead of doing that, even if, and I mean, listen, if
but
my husband
he also didn't think Rachel liked him. He was very clear.
Okay.
He thought Rachel never saw him that way.
But after they slept together.
Okay, yes.
I'm not gonna say that I would justify my husband sleeping with someone else. He better never. If you're listening, and he will be listening, you better never.
And that's a fact, because if you're not scared of your wife, you should be scared of me.
the first night that Rachel and Dex sleep together on Rachel's 30th birthday, where they're both really drunk,
and
but maybe
I'm
not drunk,
or to quote her, I'm not that drunk,
right? But maybe not that drunk. So the first time they sleep together, we can call it like, we can chalk it up to it would just the happenstance. Okay, we can't call it an accident. She didn't lay in bed with him and he put his penis in her vagina and that was an accident.
It was oops, I slipped and fell in. That's
not how sex works. No, that's not how it works. But so we can't call it an accident. But if we say it was a part of happenstance, it was circumstance. Okay, so then that was one time. They slept together all summer, and she never told Darcy. He never told Darcy. Darcy was planning their wedding with Rachel as her maid of honor.
Darcy was dragging her feet because you know very well she wasn't feeling it.
No, she wasn't. But what Darcy wants, in my opinion,
Darcy's a terrible friend. Annalise. She made Annalise's bridal shower, baby shower about her.
Yeah, 100%.
And passed around her engagement ring and then forced Rachel to put it on.
I know she did. That was terrible. Okay,
she's a terrible friend.
Okay,
lied about about freaking what college was it? Freaking Notre Dame. Lied about Notre Dame. Lied about her freaking SATs.
Okay, she did all those very awful things. But Darcy wants one thing. She wants the package. She wanted to have the money. She wanted to have the hot guy that had a good job. She didn't like that Dex went back into finance. She wanted a lawyer.
Okay, but Dex is also an object to her. Let's not
lie. He totally is.
He's an object to her. But Rachel does not see him as an object. She sees him as a human being.
I disagree. I still think Rachel sees him as an object. Rachel sees Dex as the conquest, that another thing that Darcy took from her. And she took it back. And that does not make you a good friend. That makes you a terrible person.
They're both terrible friends.
I'm really sorry for everyone's eardrums. Just turn us down. Just turn us down.
So in the book, we jump from Rachel's point of view on a lot of things. Rachel also has this invisible court where she is constantly pleading her case. Yes and no.
It's irritating.
I find it endearing, but that is my personal opinion.
I think it's nice to know that this was Emily Giffin's first book because I can see the immaturity of it in those scenes.
Right. And as you go on in her books, in her series, they get more mature. Her writing gets better.
I don't like them either.
Okay, but that's because you have a sour taste in your mouth. You eat one grape and you're done.
No! We'll come back to why I don't like any of her books. We'll come back to it.
But I think, okay, so the whole court thing, I think it shows how lonely Rachel is.
Yeah.
That she feels like that she has her two friends that aren't Rachel in this book, Dex and Hillary!
Yes.
Hillary. Okay, so Hillary works with Rachel.
Yes.
Rachel eventually confides in Hillary.
And Hillary pretty much catches her in it.
Right, because of the flowers.
Because of the flowers that Dex sends.
Hillary ends up telling her to pretty much figure her shit out and stop.
Which she needed to.
Right, agreed.
Hillary was actually team Rachel and Dex because Hillary was like, haha, Darcy sucks at life and she's going to get what's coming to her.
I mean, she's not wrong.
She's not wrong. But she's also not a redeemable character because of that.
Okay, so let's talk about Darcy for a second. So, Darcy as a character has not changed or matured since high school.
I would, even earlier than that. But yes, definitely since high school.
I mean, let's take the backpack situation for an example. Rachel uses this in the book to explain who Darcy is as a person.
Yeah.
In childhood, they had three best friends. It was Rachel, Annalise, and Darcy. And what happened?
But really, even though they were three best friends, Darcy and Rachel were
always
two best friends.
Like sisters.
They always left Annalise on the outside. Oh my gosh, these women are terrible.
Anyways, so the backpacks. They go as children to pick out backpacks by themselves because in the 70s and 80s, you could go to the store by yourself without a grown-up and nobody would try to kidnap you.
Never would I do that now.
No, never. But they paper, scissors, rocked, or they figured out a way, and Rachel won and got the backpack that all of them wanted.
Right.
But all the girls forgot about this until the first day of school, and then Rachel showed up with the same backpack.
Darcy showed up with the same backpack.
Yeah, Darcy. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Words are hard. And
says the writer.
Says the writer. I can put them on paper. It's getting them out the mouth. It's hard. Please don't soundbite that. So, as you see Rachel as a character develop, this, what you have, I want thing from elementary school still rolls over.
Yeah.
Anything anyone else has, she gets. She's even quoted in the book saying she doesn't get dumped and she doesn't break up. She upgrades. She always goes up to the next best thing.
Which is she's not true when it comes to Marcus. He's terrible.
Marcus is his own free being. Let's
Marcus
say it that
is
way.
Probably the most compatible character for Darcy in the whole book.
But he's also
because
gross.
They're both terrible.
So we talked about that. Their relationship. We touched on this. So the question is, do you stay loyal to a friend just because they've been your friend for years? Does time make loyalty mandatory?
Okay, so
if you've grown apart, if you are two different people as grown-ups as you were as children, does loyalty make it mandatory?
So I'm going to use our mutual ex-friend.
The friend that's not a friend. Got it.
A friend that's not our friend anymore. And we talked about this person in the first podcast. And, we're not going to name her because we're not going to shame her. But we aren't friends with this person anymore.
For a mid of reasons.
A lot of reasons. I broke up with her. And it was fine. I was fine with it. Because here's the thing. I'm a grown-up. I understand that in this book, Rachel's just turning 30. And I'm about to turn 40. So I'm,
seeing life differently. Yes, definitely.
10 years down the road. But when I read the book, I was in my late 20s. So I don't think that's,
Right.
I just feel like you have to be a grown-up. If you aren't compatible with somebody anymore, there's no reason to keep them in your life. No. And really, the correct thing for Rachel to do, if she couldn't let Dex go, the right thing for her to do is not only break things off with Dex, but break things off with Darcy.
And because she had a chance to do that. Ethan wanted her to move to London.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think she had to run away from her problems. She needed to be a grown-up and face it. Like, girl, you're 30. Get your crap together. Like, put on your big girl panties.
I don't have my crap together and I'm almost 40.
Okay, well, whatever. Whatever, Molly. Put on your big girl panties and break up with these people. She was still going to go to their wedding and not just go to their wedding. She was going to be the maid of honor in their wedding.
Okay.
She owed it to them. She owed it to them to break that relationship because she's in love with with Darcy's fiance. She's not going to let that go. He's not letting go of the relationship with Darcy. She supposedly loves her best friend. Whatever. I don't believe that for a second. You owe it to them to break that off. But you also owe it to yourself because that is not a healthy lifestyle to maintain. What are you going to do? Are you going to be the other woman for Dex for the rest of your life? You're never going to have a family with him.
I am agreeing here with you. But do you remember being single?
Oh my gosh, those days are so behind me. Yes, of course I remember.
Okay. But do you remember that feeling of loneliness?
Yes, sure.
Of course. I can still remember those days. And when it feels like your options are limited and your only option is to be the side piece, I can see her headspace. I'm not saying it's right. I can see her headspace.
We're not limited.
Agreed.
Not only did she date Marcus, but didn't she go on a date with somebody else during the book?
In London, yeah, and like he felt her up and all that jazz. Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
so like I think okay, so first of all, can we segue to the movie so I can do a quick comparison here? So
well, yeah, segue, do your comparison. We'll jump into the movie
okay.
in a second.
So Jennifer Goodwin plays Rachel in the movie.
Who's
I
adorable, by the
love
way.
Jennifer Goodwin.
Love Jennifer Goodwin.
Love her.
We're a big fan.
We're huge fans. So I've seen small projects that she's in. I've seen big projects that she's in. Big Love and Once Upon a Time and
Big Love was
one
good.
of my
Okay,
all-time
anyways, we're gonna digress if we jump
I'm
into.
sorry. I just
okay.
gotta say, I love Win a Date with Tad Hamilton. Not many people
I
know
love
it,
that. Okay. Anyways.
Okay. So they try to make her look
Sorry,
dowdy.
folks.
They try to make her look dowdy
That wig?
and like undesirable. Yeah. Well, side note, she actually has a wig contract, like because she has really short hair. So there is a part of her movie star contract is that she always gets a wig, so that she can keep her hair short. Which
is adorable.
But anyway, they make her look dowdy. She's like in oversized suits that even for the 90s were not flattering. And they make her look unappealing, but she's not. Like the Rachel in the book is not like that. The Rachel in the book might not have the svelte body that Darcy has. She might not be the blonde.
She has a few extra pounds.
Although
is the description.
Right. But she's not like, I don't picture her as someone that's overweight.
No. No. Jennifer Goodwin was a beautiful casting choice. She was perfect.
Except they make her look less desirable. They make her
but that's the whole point. Right.
Yeah. Oh, but Kate Hudson she's a great Darcy.
Perfect.
Great Darcy.
Okay, we're digressing.
I know. I'm sorry. But my point is that the book makes in the book, you are reading her thoughts on herself. And it's very obvious that she has low self-esteem. She does not value herself as a person. And part of the reason that she doesn't value herself as a person is because she's surrounding herself with people who do not value her as a person.
Girl needs therapy.
She does. But she also needs to dump those friends. Because it's not just Darcy that makes her feel bad about herself. Dex makes her feel bad about herself. Right.
Also, look what happened when she went home. She went home and her mom's first thing was like, how's the wedding going? Not how's your job, not what's new with you.
Right.
After she asked about the wedding. Right. After they got settled at the house and ordered pizza, then she asked her if she was dating somebody.
And when the book ends and the truth comes out about...
Her mom yells at her.
Yeah.
Not like, hey, what's your side of the story?
Which, I mean, I think I would probably be like mad at my kid too. I'd be like, what are you doing?
But I'm going to give my kid the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
I'm going to say, hey, tell me what's going on. Yeah. I'm not going to call them and defend their childhood best friend.
Right. 100%.
So she doesn't have a great basis on what a support system is based off that glimpse.
No, she doesn't. And that's, and I mean, that's the only way to write that character, honestly.
Right.
That's the only way to write that character.
Right.
The only way that Rachel is ever justifiable is, number one, she met Dex first. And I think that's why we're supposed to root for them. She met Dex first and Darcy stole him, even though she really didn't.
No, that's muddy, honestly.
Darcy knew how Rachel felt.
Did know how Rachel felt and went for him anyways because she always feels like she has to one-up Rachel.
Yeah. So to quote Mean Girls, that's like against the rules of feminism. Okay? You don't do that. But you also don't sleep with your best friend's fiance. But that is the only way to write that character. The only redeemable quality that Rachel has is that her friends and family are really not supportive, except for maybe you can make the argument Hillary. Was that
Hillary?
So you can make the argument that maybe Hillary was supportive.
Hillary was supportive.
She was.
She just wanted what was best for Rachel.
She also kind of wanted everything to fall apart for Darcy. So I don't know that it was always about Rachel.
I'm that friend. You know very well I'm that friend. I will definitely root against somebody that is trying to do you harm.
Yes. Yes.
I will make no qualms in the fact that I am the person that's like, F them. Mm-hmm. I love you.
Yeah.
Do what makes you happy.
Yeah.
So we all need that friend.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that friend isn't flawed, but that's my defense of this book, though. Everyone is flawed, and that's the whole point of this book, is showing everyone is flawed. I'm not saying the cheating's right. I'm not saying the lying, the backstabbing, everything that happened is right. But I'm saying this is a real slice of life, right?
Yeah.
This happens in real life.
It does.
Friendships end. People sleep with other people's husbands. Life is not black and white.
Yeah. I just don't want to read about it.
And so I'm not asking you to anymore after what happened with this.
Yes.
Okay, so in the comments, if you've read the book, tell us what you think.
Yeah.
Tell us what you think of the book. We're going to dive into the movie adaptation now.
Yeah.
So, in the movie adaptation, it's the book, but it's not the book.
Yeah.
They get rid of Hillary. They kind of combined Hillary and Ethan and make Ethan that person.
But I think they did that because they cast John Krasinski.
Who we love. I love him so much.
He was such a scene stealer, and
he was so good. And this was like pre him getting all buff and crap, man. Yeah. Like
I think he was on The Office at the time, so he was known. Right. I didn't watch The Office, so I didn't really know him. But
he wasn't a big star yet.
Right.
He was not. He's not the guy now. By the way, love the writing in A Quiet Place. Haven't seen the second one yet, but his writing is good. Even
because I don't like scary movies.
I don't either. I don't either. But I watched it because John Krasinski in The Office. And I was like, Jim, what are you doing?
He's being quiet, Molly. That's what he's doing.
Okay. Anyways, back to the movie. So the movie pretty much follows the same plot line.
Yeah.
Minus the fact that we have the role of Hillary and Ethan have been mushed together.
Right.
Ethan is in New York, and Ethan is pretty much pulling double duty. And they also make Ethan a love interest for Rachel, what really kind of pissed me off.
Yeah, so Ethan moves to London. And if you haven't seen the movie, I want to say real quick, while I didn't like the book, somehow I liked the movie. Casting?
Okay, first and foremost, the casting was perfect.
Yeah. But he
moved, every character.
Yes. But he moves to London in the movie, and she goes and visits him like she does in the book. Mm-hmm. Except he was always in London in the movie.
Also, Emily Giffin cameo in the park.
Yeah. You see her, and she's reading Something Blue.
Something Borrowed. Right? Yeah, Something Blue. Yeah.
Which is the sequel book to Something Borrowed, which we'll come back to the lovely world of Emily Giffin in a minute. We're going to circle back. So she goes to see him, and he basically tells her to stay, and that
he loves her.
That he loves her. She's always been his first choice. Be someone's first choice, not their side piece. And
which I audibly booed in the
yes, I remember
theater because I was so mad that they ruined Ethan.
Yeah, but I was like, oh gosh, she's really doing that. She's booing in the theater right now. This is what's happening, guys. You have to understand that I am an introvert. I'm doing this podcast because you can't you can't converse with me. You could see me if you're watching on YouTube, and you can hear me if you're listening.
But she doesn't have to read your comments.
But I'm an introvert. This is not my thing.
But I will audibly fight with you.
Right. But I'm like, So I didn't like that either. I thought that really took away from Ethan's character, especially
I agree.
Because we'll talk about with Something Blue, his character comes up again. And so they kind of broke that barrier down too much for my liking.
But they had at that time they had a deal to do Something Blue as a movie too.
I know.
The movie irritated me.
The movie ended with Coming Soon.
Yeah.
And had Kate Hudson running toward Ethan in London.
Which irritates the hell out of me. I'm going to say this now. It irritates the hell out of me. If you're going to try to make a movie of the sequel book, of the follow-up book.
Right.
And then change the movie, how are you going to reconcile that if you're trying to follow the plot line?
Right. And I honestly think the only reason they did it was because they cast someone with a name. If they would have cast somebody who was less known. I can't remember the name of the actor who plays Dex, but I didn't know him.
Okay. He was in Reba, and he was also in Shameless. His name is, hold on, I'm going to find it real quick because
Shameless, the show on
the show on Showtime.
Okay. I've watched a few of those seasons, but I don't remember
his name. I'm Googling it right now. His name is Steve Howey, Howey, Steve Howey. He was on Reba too, if anybody remembers Reba.
I didn't watch that show, but so I didn't really know him. But Marcus was played by an actor who... No, that's the actor you're thinking of. Marcus is the actor that's on...
I'm talking about Marcus. My bad.
Yeah.
My bad.
No, I was talking Dex. I don't know that actor.
Let me pull it up.
But Marcus is played by an actor that's known. Ethan's played by an actor that's known. Darcy and Rachel are played by actors that are known. I knew the actress, recognized the actress who played Darcy's friend, whose name escapes me right now, because she was on How I Met Your Mother. She played.
Right. Okay, so her name was Claire. Okay, I'm going to go over the cast. Okay, so our cast is Jennifer Goodwin, who played Rachel.
Love her.
Fantastic. Kate Hudson, who played our Darcy. She was amazing.
She
was perfect at that. Yeah. Colin Egglesfield. I'm saying this wrong, and I'm sorry, dude. He was our Dexter. And I haven't seen him in much since, by the way.
I didn't know him.
No. John Krasinski played Ethan.
Right.
Steve Howie was our Marcus. Right. Ashley Williams is the actress that plays Claire.
Yes,
she was the one.
She's Buttercup.
Yes, Buttercup. Yeah, I got you. And then Emily, and so also, another thing I want to talk about in this movie. Dexter only had in the book his father. Yes. His father, and that was it. And then they changed the plot line for the reason he wouldn't end the wedding was because his mother was sick and ailing and
giving. Okay, and so actually,
it gave him reasoning, which was
I think that's why I liked the movie better.
No,
because it gave him a reason to not leave Darcy.
No,
and I could feel okay, maybe it's a little justifiable.
It's like saying my husband doesn't want to come over for dinner, even though I'm the one that doesn't want to come over for dinner. It's the same premise. Like blaming my mom for being sick for not ending my wedding is bullshit.
Okay, but you don't blame not wanting. You don't cancel plans and blame your husband because I do that all the time.
I mean, I do, but what I'm saying is it's a bigger thing.
All right.
It's a bigger thing.
So I liked the movie because...
And I blame Matt for a lot of things. Love you, babe, but it's true.
Oh, yeah. Well, I do tell him. I liked the movie because I felt the romance in it that I think I couldn't feel in the book.
Because you were mad.
Well,
you were so mad.
Maybe that's why.
That book made you mad.
Well, I didn't think that their relationship was romantic. It was about banging. Like, let's go hang out and bang. And
you didn't see the love. You didn't believe that Rachel loved him at all.
I think Rachel wanted to love him, and I think she wanted him to love her. I don't know that she really did.
I believed they were in love. I think they truly were meant to be.
I believed it from the movie.
I believe they were truly meant to be. Yes, how they started was icky and awful, but I truly believe how they were meant to be.
So this is a good segue into other
the rest of
Emily
her books.
Giffin books.
Okay, the rest of Emily Giffin's books.
So I haven't read all of them.
I haven't either.
I have read.
Okay, you've read more than me because life is hard.
I've read Something Borrowed.
Something Borrowed. Blue.
Baby Proof, which is...
I read Baby Proof.
Which is another one that this story comes up in.
Yes, I read Baby Proof.
And...
there's one more.
I cannot remember the other one, but I've read another one too. And I finally had to give up. So full disclosure, and again, we are judgment free on books. I don't read a lot of chick lit. Actually, if you want to judge me on my reading...
Where We Belong was the last one we read.
Yes.
Where We Belong.
That's it. If you want to judge me on my reading, I read a lot of YA, which some adults, find...
I love YA.
But I would much rather read about The Hunger Games, which is still my favorite series. And that's literally teens killing each other. I would rather read that than people having affairs. And my big issue with Emily Giffin is that all of her books are about that. Somebody is banging somebody
about infidelity.
Yeah. So
Something Blue didn't have infidelity.
She starts because she's pregnant from Marcus.
I'm just saying, there's no infidelity in that book.
Okay, because she's pregnant for twins.
It's insinuated from the first one.
Okay, so the way that Something Borrowed ends...
I love you.
Yeah, I love you too. The way that Something Borrowed ends, we find out that Darcy is pregnant with Marcus's baby. She doesn't know at the time, but in Something Blue, we find out that it's twins. And so in Something Blue, it's a sort of sequel. I think it's actually officially a complementary novel.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a true sequel.
No.
I actually,
because our main character is not featured, you know?
Right. I actually liked it better than Something Borrowed. Even though I really can't stand Darcy.
I can't stand Darcy. That book is hard for me to read.
She grew up in that book. I don't think that the plot line makes any sense, and I don't want to give away too much for our listeners. If they haven't read this one, I don't want to tell them the big plot twist in that one. But I will tell you that the end of that book, we see Dex and Rachel again.
Right.
And that happens in Baby Proof as well. So this is why I said it was a good segue. So in Baby Proof, we find out that Dex's sister, so Rachel's sister-in-law,
yes,
Rachel and Dex come back into the story because it's Dex's sister.
Right.
So Rachel mentions the start of their relationship
was muddy.
How it started with while he was still engaged to Darcy. And the main character of that book, cannot remember for the life of me that name. She says, because it's all from her point of view, she says that they kind of always suspected that was the case, but nobody actually knew that that's how their relationship started. Which I find suspect because Rachel's parents knew.
Well, that's because of Darcy. Darcy called everyone. The sneaky little snake in the grass she was, she called everyone and their mother to tell them how bad Rachel was.
Someone sleeps with my fiance like a week before the wedding. I'm calling everybody too. Everybody gonna know. I'm calling the radio station and do people even do that anymore? I'm calling the radio station and put it on there. I don't know. I'm going to podcast about it. It's going on YouTube. Everybody's going to know. Everybody's going to know. I'm going to have a picture of that bitch. This woman did this.
So listeners, don't sleep with April's husband is the bottom line.
Do not sleep with April's husband.
But the point is, and now April and I can go on and on about this.
Yeah, we could.
We're always going to have... I can see her side now, as I am a married lady of a numerous amount of years. Mm-hmm. I comprehend her thought process. When I first read this book, I was... How dare Darcy treat Rachel this way? Yeah. The audacity! And I defended Rachel to the grave. As I've gotten older, I'm seeing it in different lenses. And, you know, yes, it is icky, the whole infidelity thing.
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep saying, you guys are going to, keynote this. It's going to be like, she keeps saying this. Everybody is flawed.
Yeah.
And I think that is the underlining conversation in this book.
Yeah.
That everybody is flawed. Some of us just,
But Molly,
jaywalk. Some of us cheat on our husbands, I guess. It just depends on your variation of flaw.
And just for clarity, neither of us are those people.
I jaywalk.
Okay, well.
You don't jaywalk?
Dude, nobody walks in Virginia. Nobody walks in Virginia. I if you're walking,
anymore,
people are like, "Why are you walking?" Like there's no why.
You're also in a very rural area of Virginia.
Yeah, I am in a rural area in Virginia. But okay, look, I'll bite on the everybody is flawed. I'll bite on that. But there are many books that write the everybody is flawed plot line and do it
Agreed.
better. And do it better.
Agreed. And they don't use infidelity. I comprehend that.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is this book holds a special spot for me. And it will always hold a special spot for me. Now, let's hear what you guys think. Tell us in the comments.
Yeah.
Post on our Facebook, our socials. Tell us what you think.
Like us, subscribe, all those fun things that people do in this day and age.
Tweet. I don't think we're going to do the TikTok, but we're doing all the other things.
Nobody wants to see us do TikTok dances.
Okay, so
also in the comments, if there's a book that you passionately love or passionately hate and want to hear our review or hear us battle it out on Book Besties, put it in the comments. We love to talk about books, and like we've said, there are a lot of books that I've read that Molly hasn't, and vice versa. And we're going to use this podcast as a way to make each other read these books.
Because we've been telling the other for doing it for years.
Yeah,
so, next week, is episode 3.
Episode 3.
And you're going to be hosting.
I'm going to be hosting, and we are going to be talking about, can we tell them what we're going to be talking about?
Go ahead.
So I feel like this is one that will be great for a good conflict with our viewers, even though
I've actually mentioned this book already.
Yeah, and I know we are both fans of this book, but there is a lot of hate for this book. So we're going to be talking about Twilight.
Oh, hate Meyer. For the movies too. Oh boy, is there hate.
I think you can hate the first movie. It's okay. But we're going to focus on the first book specifically, although we will, like we did in this pod, we'll kind of digress into some of the other books, but our main objective is to focus on Twilight, the beginning of that series. And we're both fans of that, so that'll be a different one than this, where we just spent the entire time arguing.
Oh, there's always something for us to argue about, though.
Sure, 100%.
So, like Robert Pattinson.
Oh, gosh. Look,
I love you, lady.
Nobody hates the Twilight movies more than Robert Pattinson does. He hates them.
Oh, okay. So that's it for us.
That's it for
We're
us.
We're the Book Besties.
Yeah.
I love you.
Thank you so much for listening to our second pod.
Thank you for joining us on Book Besties. Don't forget to like and subscribe. The views discussed here are those of Molly and April and not those of anyone else. Today's book was Something Borrowed by Emily Giffin. Your book besties are Molly Biggs and April Watkins. Editing by Thomas Watkins, and music is Sleep Sweetly by Brigida. Don't forget to follow Book Besties on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. If you'd like to contact the Book Besties, please email us at bookbestiespod@gmail.com.